The 1970s were the peak of muscle car performance, with blazing speed and aggressive designs. These powerful machines ruled the streets and the drag strips. Some were so fast they became legends, setting incredible quarter-mile times that are still talked about today. Ford Torino Cobra 429. The Ford Torino Cobra 429 was built for pure speed, making it one of the fastest muscle cars of the 1970s. With its powerful engine and aerodynamic design, this beast was ready to dominate the drag strip. This car was built with a 429 Super Cobra Jet V8, an engine designed for high performance. It packed 375 horsepower and a massive 450 pound-feet of torque, giving it incredible acceleration. Ford equipped it with a 4-speed manual transmission and a drag pack option, which added a 3.91 or 4.30 rear axle ratio for even quicker launches. On the quarter mile, the Torino Cobra 429 could run in the low 14-second range, making it one of the quickest muscle cars of its time. With slick tires and a good driver, some even dipped into the high 13s. That was serious speed for a factory car in 1970. Unlike some of its competitors, the Torino Cobra had a sleek, wind tunnel-tested body that helped it cut through the air. It wasn't just about brute force, it had the looks to match its performance. While it didn't always get the same attention as the Mustangs and Chargers of the era, the Torino Cobra 429 was a true street warrior. Today, it's a rare sight, but those lucky enough to see one in action will never forget its raw power and speed. Plymouth GTX 446 barrel. The 1970 Plymouth GTX 446 barrel was built with an aggressive styling and monstrous engine. At the center of the GTX was the 440 cubic inch 6-barrel V8, producing 390 horsepower and a massive 490 pound-feet of torque. The 6-barrel name came from its 3 2-barrel carburetors, which dumped fuel into the engine for explosive acceleration. Paired with a heavy-duty torque flight automatic or a 4-speed manual, this Plymouth was all about raw power. On the quarter mile, the GTX 446 barrel could blast through in around 13.5 seconds, an incredible time for a factory muscle car in 1970. With the right driver and conditions, some even pushed into the high 12s. That put it in the same league as Hemi-powered machines, but with a lower price tag. However, the GTX wasn't just about speed, it had style too. With bold stripes, a menacing hood scoop, and a muscular stance, it looked just as fast as it was. Despite its performance, the GTX often gets overshadowed by the Cuda and Roadrunner, making it a hidden gem of the Mopar world. Pontiac GTO Judge 455. The 1971 Pontiac GTO Judge 455 was a powerhouse with bold styling and serious performance, dominating the streets and the drag strip. The car debuted in 1969 as a response to budget-friendly muscle cars, with a name inspired by the popular TV catchphrase, "Here comes the Judge," from Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. By 1971, the muscle car era was starting to fade due to rising insurance costs and emission regulations. But Pontiac still pushed the envelope with the 455 engine, which replaced the Ram Air 4 as the top performance option. At its core was the 455 cubic inch high-output V8, producing 335 horsepower and an incredible 480 pound-feet of torque. While horsepower numbers looked lower due to new rating systems, this engine packed serious punch. The Judge came with a Ram Air system, forcing cool air into the engine for better performance. Paired with either a 4-speed manual or a heavy-duty automatic, this Pontiac was built for speed. On the quarter mile, the GTO Judge 455 could run in the low 13-second range, making it one of the quickest muscle cars of its time. With the right setup, it could even dip into the high 12s, putting it up there with the best of the era. Beyond speed, the Judge had attitude. With its bold stripes, iconic "The Judge" badging, and aggressive stance, it stood out from the crowd. Despite its performance, 1971 was the final year for the Judge, making it almost impossible to see today. Dodge Coronet Super B 426 HEMI. The Dodge Coronet Super B 426 HEMI was one of the most potent muscle cars of the late 1960s and early 1970s. Designed as an affordable yet high-performance alternative to the more upscale Dodge Charger, the Super Bee delivered raw power, aggressive styling, and street-dominating performance, especially when equipped with the legendary 426 Hemi V8, producing 425 horsepower and a 490 pound-foot of torque. This engine was built for racing, with high-flow cylinder heads, a forged steel crankshaft, and massive dual 4-barrel carburetors. The Super Bee came with a 4-speed manual or a heavy-duty Torque-a-Flight automatic, both designed to handle the Hemi's brutal power. On the drag strip, the Super Bee 426 HEMI could run the quarter mile in just 12.7 seconds, making it one of the quickest factory muscle cars of its time. With the right tires and conditions, some even saw times in the mid-12s, putting it in an elite class of performance cars. With its bold bumblebee stripe, aggressive front-end design, and standout Super Bee badging, this Dodge let everyone know it meant business. Despite its legendary status, the Hemi-powered Super Bee was rare, with only a handful produced. Today, finding one is nearly impossible, but its reputation as a quarter-mile monster lives on. Dodge Challenger 340. The 1973 Dodge Challenger 340 proved that you didn't need a massive big block to be fast. With its lightweight design and high-revving small-block V8, this Challenger was a serious threat on the quarter mile. Built with the 340 cubic inch V8, this car had Tai Chi ability to produce 275 horsepower and 340 pound-feet of torque. While that might sound modest compared to the big 426 Hemi or 446 pack, the 340 was built for performance. It had forged internals, a high-lift cam, and a free-flowing intake, allowing it to rev higher and make power where it counted. Paired with a 4-speed manual or a Torque-a-Flight automatic, this Challenger launched hard and pulled strong down the strip. On the quarter mile, the Challenger 340 could run in the low 14-second range, with skilled drivers pushing into the high 13s. Its lighter weight and balanced handling made it one of the best all-around muscle cars of its time. Besides being quick, the Challenger 340 had an aggressive stance, optional hood scoops, and bold graphics to match its speed. While many muscle cars relied on brute force, the Dodge Challenger 340 proved that a well-built small block could hang with the big boys. Unfortunately, it is now rare to find due to its limited production. The Chevelle SS 454. The Chevelle SS 454 was the top-tier performance version of the Chevelle, with the LS654 V8, making it the most powerful factory-built muscle car of its era. After debuting in 1964 as Chevrolet's entry into the muscle car wars, the Chevelle evolved into a bigger, bolder, and more aggressive machine, with the SS454 package representing the peak of Chevrolet's high-performance offerings. It was built with the legendary LS6454 cubic inch V8, producing 450 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque, the highest factory-rated horsepower of any muscle car at the time. With a 4-barrel Holley carburetor, high-compression pistons, and a performance camshaft, the LS6 was built for pure speed. Paired with a 4-speed manual or a heavy-duty automatic, this Chevelle was a straight-line monster. On the quarter mile, the Chevelle SS454 LS6 could run as fast as 13.1 seconds, making it one of the quickest muscle cars of its era. With slick tires and a skilled driver, some even dipped into the high 12s, putting it in elite company. For the most part, the Chevelle SS454 had dual racing stripes, cowl induction hood, and bold SS badging that made it different. Today, the 1970 Chevelle SS454 LS6 is a legend, with collectors and muscle car fans still chasing after this rare machine. Dodge Challenger RT 426H EMI. The 1970 Dodge Challenger RT 426 HEMI was built for one thing: pure speed. As Dodge's answer to the Ford Mustang, Chevrolet Camaro, and Pontiac Firebird, the Challenger was a late entry into the pony car wars. but quickly became an icon of raw power and performance. At its core was the 426 Hemi Phi 8, a powerhouse producing 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. Known for its high-flow hemispherical cylinder heads, forged internals, and dual 4-barrel carburetors, the HEMI was built to race. Dodge paired it with either a 4-speed manual or a heavy-duty torque flight automatic, both designed to handle the brutal power of this beast. On the quarter mile, the Challenger RT 426 Hemi could run in the low 13-second range, with some drivers managing high 12s under the right conditions. That kind of speed put it in elite company, going head-to-head with the fastest muscle cars of its time. But the Dodge Challenger was introduced as a more upscale and powerful version of the Plymouth Barracuda, sharing Chrysler's E-body platform. Designed to compete with other muscle cars, Dodge positioned the Challenger as a more refined and luxurious performance car, with high-performance RT models available for its users. Due to high costs and insurance premiums, very few 426 Hemi Challengers were sold. Plymouth Cuda 446 pack. The Plymouth Barracuda was first introduced in 1964, but it wasn't until 1970 that it received a complete redesign and its own dedicated E-body platform, shared with the Dodge Challenger. This new platform allowed Plymouth to equip the Cuda with massive big block engines, making it one of the most formidable muscle cars of its time. Among the available high-performance engine options, the 446 pack was the perfect balance of affordability, reliability, and power, offering nearly Hemi-level performance without the high cost. With a 440 cubic inch 6-pack 5.8, this car could produce 390 horsepower and a massive 490 pound-feet of torque. The 6-pack name came from its 3 2-barrel carburetors, which dumped fuel into the engine for explosive acceleration. Combined with a high-lift camshaft and heavy-duty internals, this Cuda was a serious threat on the drag strip. Buyers could choose between a 4-speed manual with a pistol grip shifter or a beefy Torque-a-Flight automatic, both designed to handle the 440's brute force. On the quarter mile, the Cuda 446 pack could run as fast as 13.3 seconds, making it one of the quickest muscle cars of its time. With the right tires and a skilled driver, some even saw high 12-second runs, putting it in elite territory. The 446 pack was Chrysler's second most powerful big block engine, designed as a more street-friendly alternative to the 426 Hemi, while still delivering incredible performance. Despite being slightly heavier than small block models, the 446 pack Cuda was a dominant force on the streets and drag strips. Moreover, the 1970 Cuda had one of the most aggressive designs of any muscle car, and the 446 pack models stood out with their black striping and functional air scoops. And as anyone would expect, the 1971 models are among the rarest Mopars, making them even more valuable today. The Plymouth Roadrunner 426 HEMI. The Plymouth Roadrunner 426 HEMI was one of the most legendary muscle cars of the late 1960s and early 1970s, offering raw power, a no-nonsense design, and an unbeatable performance-to-cost ratio. Built to capture the essence of what made muscle cars great, big horsepower in a lightweight, affordable package, the Roadrunner became a street and strip icon. By the late 1960s, muscle cars had become more expensive, loaded with luxury features that drove up costs. Plymouth saw an opportunity to create a bare-bones performance machine, stripping out unnecessary frills and focusing purely on speed. Debuting in 1968, the Roadrunner was an instant success, combining affordability with serious muscle. While the base 383 Magnum V8 offered solid performance, the optional 426 HEMI V8 turned the Roadrunner into one of the fastest street machines of its time. Plymouth even licensed the famous Roadrunner cartoon from Warner Brothers, adding fun beep-beep horn sounds and a cartoon decal to emphasize its lighthearted yet powerful nature. This car had the ability to produce 425 horsepower and a massive 490 pound-feet of torque due to its 426 Hemi 5.8. This engine was built for racing, with high-flow hemispherical cylinder heads, forged internals, and dual 4-barrel carburetors. The Roadrunner's no-frills approach meant it was lighter than many other muscle cars, giving it a serious advantage off the line. Buyers could choose between a 4-speed manual with a pistol grip shifter or a heavy-duty torque flight automatic, both made to handle the Hemi's raw power. On the quarter mile, the Roadrunner 426 HEMI could run as fast as 13.0 seconds, with skilled drivers dipping into the high 12s. That put it in elite company, competing with the fastest muscle cars of its time. But the Roadrunner wasn't just about speed. It was one of the fastest muscle cars of its time, capable of keeping up with or even beating far more expensive performance cars. Because of their low production numbers and legendary performance, original 426 Hemi Roadrunners are among the most valuable muscle cars today. Buick GSX Stage 1455. The 1970 Buick GSX Stage 1455 was a true sleeper, an elegant muscle car that packed a serious punch. The Buick GSX Stage 1455 was one of the most powerful and underrated muscle cars of the golden era. While Buick was traditionally known for its luxury vehicles, the GSX Stage 1 proved that Buick could build a muscle car that could go toe-to-toe with the best from Chevrolet, Pontiac, Dodge, and Plymouth. It was built with the 455 cubic inch Stage 1 V8, officially rated at 360 horsepower, but real-world numbers suggested it was closer to 400-plus horsepower and 510 pound-feet of torque, one of the highest torque ratings of any muscle car. With bigger valves, a hotter camshaft, and an aggressive carburetor, the GSX Stage 1 was built for serious performance. Buyers could choose between a 4-speed manual or a high-performance automatic, both designed to handle the massive torque. On the quarter mile, the Buick GSX Stage 1455 could run as fast as 13.4 seconds, and with the right driver and slicks, some even saw high 12-second times. That put it right up there with the fastest muscle cars of its era. Moreover, the GSX had a menacing presence, with its bold racing stripes, massive rear spoiler, and aggressive stance making it one of the most visually striking muscle cars of 1970. Because Buick muscle cars were more expensive than their Chevrolet and Pontiac rivals, production numbers remained low. The Dodge Super Bee 426 HEMI. The Dodge Super Bee 426 HEMI was one of the most underrated yet powerful muscle cars of the late 1960s and early 1970s. Built as a more affordable alternative to Dodge's high-end Coronet RT, the Super Bee combined a no-frills, aggressive design with legendary Mopar performance. When equipped with the 426 Hemi, the Super Bee transformed into one of the most feared street machines of its time. With the 426 Hemi Phi 8, it could produce 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. This engine was designed for racing, featuring high-flow hemispherical cylinder heads, a forged steel crankshaft, and dual 4-barrel carburetors. The Super Bee's relatively lightweight body gave it an edge, allowing it to launch hard and put that Hemi power to the pavement. Buyers could choose between a 4-speed manual with a pistol grip shifter or a heavy-duty torque flight automatic, both capable of handling the raw force under the hood. On the quarter mile, the Super Bee 426 HEMI could run as fast as 13.1 seconds, and with the right tires and driver, some saw high 12-second times. That put it in elite territory, competing with the fastest muscle cars of its time. With a power-to-weight ratio similar to the Hemi Cuda and Charger RT, the Super Bee 426 Hemi was a serious street and strip competitor, often underestimated due to its budget muscle car label. With such low production numbers, the Hemi Super Bee is one of the rarest and most valuable Mopar muscle cars today. And even though it was overshadowed by the Charger, Challenger, and Roadrunner, the Hemi-powered Super Bee was just as fast, if not faster, than its more famous Mopar siblings. Oldsmobile 442 W30. The 1970 Oldsmobile 442 W30 was a muscle car that combined power and sophistication, making it one of the fastest quarter-mile machines of the 1970s. With its legendary engine and aggressive styling, the W30 package transformed the 442 into a true drag strip contender. By 1970, Oldsmobile had transformed the 442 into a full-fledged muscle car, featuring a massive 455 V8 and an available W30 performance package, which made it one of the most powerful muscle cars ever built. Rated at 370 horsepower and a monstrous 500 pound-feet of torque, insiders knew Oldsmobile underrated these numbers, and real-world figures suggested well over 400 horsepower. The W30 package added a hotter camshaft, an aluminum intake manifold, and a forced air induction system, making this 442 one of the hardest-hitting muscle cars of its time. Buyers could choose between a 4-speed manual or a high-performance automatic, both capable of putting that power to the pavement. On the quarter mile, the 442 W30 could run as fast as 13.7 seconds, and with the right driver and tires, some even dipped into the high 12s. That put it in the same league as Mopars and Chevys, proving that Oldsmobile wasn't just about luxury. It could go fast, too. The 442 W30 was one of the most well-balanced muscle cars, delivering high-speed performance with better handling and braking compared to most rivals. Since they have limited production, the 1970 W30 is the most sought after, with restored examples selling for well over $100,000 at auctions. Pontiac GTO 455 HO. The Pontiac GTO 455 HO was one of the final high-performance muscle cars, before the era of emissions regulations and insurance hikes began to choke the industry. Even as the muscle car era faced tightening regulations, Pontiac wasn't ready to back down. Rated at 335 horsepower and a pavement-twisting 480 pound-feet of torque, the car featured high-flow cylinder heads, a hotter camshaft, and an aluminum intake manifold. Paired with a 4-speed manual or a turbo 400 automatic, the GTO 455 HO put power down with authority. On the quarter mile, the GTO 455 HO could run as fast as 13.4 seconds, making it one of the quickest muscle cars of the early 1970s. With the right tires and tuning, some drivers even cracked into the high 12s, proving that Pontiac still had plenty of muscle. Despite being a larger and heavier engine, the 455 HO provided excellent acceleration, highway cruising capability, and raw power off the line. The GTO 455 HO maintained the bold and aggressive styling that had made the GTO famous, while incorporating new aerodynamic and high-performance features. Chevrolet Camaro Z/28 LT1. The 1970 Chevrolet Camaro Z/28 LT1 is proof that a high-revving small block could still dominate the quarter mile. With its lightweight design and powerful engine, the Z/28 was one of the fastest muscle cars of the 1970s. Producing 360 horsepower and 380 pound-feet of torque, what made the LT1 special was its solid lifter camshaft, 11-to-1 compression, and a high-flow intake manifold, allowing it to rev past 6,000 RPM with ease. Unlike heavier big-block muscle cars, the Z28 had a better power-to-weight ratio, making it quick off the line and deadly in the corners. On the quarter mile, the Camaro Z/28 LT1 could run in the high 13s, with skilled drivers pushing into the low 13th-second range. It was built for more than just straight-line speed. Its performance suspension, quick-ratio steering, and 4-speed manual transmission made it one of the best-handling muscle cars of its time. With a near-perfect weight balance, the Z/28 LT1 was one of the best-handling muscle cars of the era, making it a favorite for road racing fans. The 1970 Camaro Z/28 looked both aggressive and refined, setting the stage for the modern Camaro's styling. Till date, the car is the most desirable, as it had the highest compression ratio and no emissions restrictions. Chevrolet Chevelle SS454 LS6. The Chevelle Supersport debuted in 1964 as a performance package for Chevrolet's mid-size lineup. By 1970, Chevrolet had taken the SS Chevelle to its peak, offering a 454 cubic inch big block, with the LS6 version being the most powerful factory-built muscle car engine ever at the time. The LS6454 was a no-compromise, high-performance beast designed to dominate both the street and the drag strip. Rated at 450 horsepower and a massive 500 pound-feet of torque, this beast featured high-compression pistons, a solid lifter camshaft, and a Holley 4-barrel carburetor. The LS6 was paired with either a Muncie 4-speed manual or a heavy-duty turbo 400 automatic, both built to handle the raw power under the hood. On the quarter mile, the Chevelle SS454 LS6 could run as fast as 13.1 seconds, and with the right driver and tires, some even saw high 12-second runs. That put it ahead of many of its rivals, making it one of the kings of the muscle car era. With a 4.10 rear gears and M22 manual transmission, a properly tuned LS6 Chevelle could dip into the high 12s on slicks. Since the LS6 was only available for 1 year, it remains a highly collectible and rare muscle car.